These realities are about to break free and merge with our world, which will create a paradoxical reality soup that will be very confusing and
probably fatal. Fatal how? Imagine a dinosaur from a world where dinosaurs never went extinct suddenly appearing in the same space as a
car from a world where everyone drives flying vehicles. The dinosaur eats the car. The car's navigation system, not understanding that it's been eaten, tries to proceed forward 2 kilometers to your destination. To drive to its destination, the dinosaur, now containing a functioning vehicle, begins moving at highway speeds through a residential neighborhood. That's one interaction from
one reality overlap. Multiply that by thousands.
Cool.
It's not cool.
The dinosaur part is kind of cool.
Focus. Doraemon pulled out a
whiteboard from his pocket, one of the few non-banned, non-dangerous gadgets in his collection, and began drawing diagrams that looked like a conspiracy theorist's dream.
The voice
in the booth said it's full. It can't hold any more realities. But if we can find a way to stabilize the realities inside, give them a
structure, give them permanence, they might not need to escape. They could exist peacefully within the booth's dimensional space without overflowing. How do we stabilize alternate
realities? Every reality the booth absorbed was created by a what-if statement, a wish, a desire. They're inherently unstable because they were
created casually, without intention or commitment. They're like houses built on sand. But if someone went into those realities and gave them something solid, a
foundation, a purpose, a reason to exist, they might become self-sustaining.
Someone would have to go inside the phone booth. Inside the actual
booth. Into the space where all the realities are stored.
Yes.
Into thousands of alternate worlds.
Yes. In 4 hours.
3 hours and 40 minutes. We need to hurry.
Now, the room was quiet. The phone booth hummed. Somewhere outside, a bird sang, completely unaware that its molecular structure was about to be overlaid with several thousand alternate versions of itself.
I'll go,
said Nobita. Everyone turned to look at him. Even Miki stopped eating her ice cream.
You
go, Doraemon repeated, into thousands of unstable alternate realities. You,
the boy who tripped over nothing 3 hours ago.
Who else is going to do
it? You can't. You're a gadget yourself, and the booth might not distinguish between you and its own technology. Jian would try to punch the realities into stability, which is not a strategy. Sunio would try to buy them, which also won't work. Shizuka is smart enough to stay out, and
Miki has ice cream. I could finish the ice cream. This is about the ice cream!
Most things are, eventually.
Nobita stood up.
It was not an impressive standing up. His knees wobbled, his left leg had fallen asleep, and he stumbled slightly on a gadget that rolled under his foot. But he was standing, and sometimes that was enough. I created some of those worlds, he said. Every time I used the what-if phone booth, I was playing God with people's lives and I didn't even know it. I owe them. I owe every person in every
the world I ever created and threw away.
Doraemon's eyes glistened, his internal emotional processors always working overtime around Nobita, pushed dangerously close to overflow.
You won't be alone, Doraemon said. I'll guide you from outside. The booth's phone can maintain a connection between our reality and the internal space. I'll be your lifeline.
And we'll be here too.
If any weird reality stuff tries to spill out while you're in there, we'll punch it back in!
You can't punch reality, Jian.
Watch me!
I'll monitor the booth's structural integrity. Haka!
Notebook because she was the kind of person who brought notebooks to apocalypses.
Doraemon, can you give me a scanner that reads dimensional stability? I have 17 of them. Pick your favorite color. I'll provide emotional support from a safe distance. Way over there.
To the far corner of the room, possibly behind furniture. That's actually the most useful thing you've said today.
Miki finished her ice. I'll come with him. What? I said I was. I'm bored. Also, I'm new here and I don't have any friends yet. If I help save reality, that's probably a good icebreaker. You want to risk your life as a social strategy? You're risking your life out of guilt. At least my motivation is practical. Nobita opened his...
Fine. 2 of us going in. Doraemon on the outside. Shizuka monitoring. Jian guarding. Tsuneo...
Emotionally supporting.
Doraemon prepared the booth. He modified the phone's connection, creating a permanent open line between the booth's interior dimension and their reality. He rigged scanners to Shizuka's notebook. He gave Jian a pair of reality stabilizer gloves that he wasn't entirely sure still worked, but figured that Jian's confidence would compensate for any technical shortcomings. And he handed Nobita a small, unremarkable compass.
This is the story compass. It points toward the heart of whatever reality you're in. Every world has a heart, the core desire that created it. Find
The heart, understand it, acknowledge it, and the reality stabilizes. It becomes real on its own, self-sustaining. It won't need the booth to hold it.
And it won't collapse? It becomes its own world, independent, free. How many worlds do I need to stabilize? Doraemon checked his calculations. Then,
Checked them again, then decided not to check them a third time because the number was very upsetting.
all of them. All 1,000?
The booth.
says there are approximately 4,732.
4,700 is challenging.
That's not challenging! That's impossible!
Every time someone says something is impossible, you prove them wrong. Usually by accident, but still.
Nobita took a breath, then another.
Then a third. One that was mostly just stalling.
Okay, he said.
Let's do this.
He stepped into the booth. Miki stepped in behind him. The door closed.
Hello?
Hello, dear. Are you ready?
No. Excellent. Nobody who's ready ever.
Does anything interesting. The world dissolved. The inside of the phone booth opened up like a flower made of dimensions, each petal a different reality. Each reality shimmering with its own light, its own color, its own texture of existence. Nobita and Miki stood on what felt like glass but looked like starlight, surrounded by doors, thousands upon thousands of doors, stretching in every direction, up, down, sideways, in directions that didn't exist in normal geometry. Each door was different. Some were wooden, some metal, some made of water, some made of fire, some made of concepts that couldn't be material, but apparently had decided to be doors anyway.
One door was made entirely of laughter.
Another was made of the smell of fresh bread. A
Third was made of the feeling you get when you realize it's Friday. 4,732 doors, Miki observed.
Doors? What does that mean?
It means adventure, Nobita.
Yeah, let's go!
3 hours and 37 minutes. That's about 2.8 seconds per door.
So we'll need to be efficient.
I don't know how to efficiently stabilize alternate realities.
Realities! Then let's learn.
Miki opened the nearest door. They fell through. The first world was the candy world. Of course it was the candy world.
Nobita vaguely remembered wishing for this one when he was 7, a particularly hungry 7, and the entire reality reflected that. The sky was cotton. The clouds were marshmallow, the rain was chocolate, and the ground was graham cracker, which sounded delightful until you realized that the structural integrity of a civilization built on dessert was absolutely terrible. Buildings made of gingerbread were collapsing. Rivers of caramel were flooding neighborhoods. The sun, which was a giant gumball, was melting everything. And the people, tiny gingerbread people with frosting faces and gumdrop eyes, were panicking. "The sky is falling!" screamed a gingerbread
The sky is literally edible. Just eat it. I'm diabetic.
You're made of cotton candy!
But it's so messy. Who cares? It's an adventure. Suga! That's not the point.
Nobita pulled out the story compass. It spun wildly for a moment before pointing toward the center of the candy. A city where a massive structure, a castle made of layered cake, stood slightly less precariously than everything around it.
The heart is in there.
They ran through the crumbling candy streets, dodging falling lollipop streetlights and sliding across rivers of melted chocolate. Miki grabbed a piece of falling cotton candy.
And ate it while running, because priorities. This is the best of Poplar! She yelled through a mouthful of spun sugar. Inside the cake castle?
At the very center,